In 1959, most families would gather in front of the television to watch the top shows at the time, such as Gunsmoke, Wagon Train, Have Gun Will Travel, and The Danny Thomas Show. And as you can see, this was mostly westerns and father-driven sitcoms. That is, until October 2nd, when a small 34-year-old man from Binghamton, New York, blew our minds with the pilot of The Twilight Zone. So let's start there with the first episode titled, Where is Everybody? And please stay tuned after the recap where Doc Wagner will come in. He's our resident Twilight Zone expert to talk about the actors and a bunch of other fun facts. And if you wouldn't mind, please hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment below. Without further ado, the pilot episode, Where is Everybody? We start our journey with a man in a jumpsuit walking down a lonely dirt road. He stumbles across a cafe in which he enters, looks around and sees nobody around. So he figures, hey, why not? Jump the counter, pop your head in back and see if anybody's there, but no one is. Looks around confused, but sees a pot of boiling coffee. No one's there, so he figures he'll just help himself. He grabs a cup, breaks a clock in the meantime. Looks at that clock for a little bit, and then a jukebox that has been playing the music the whole time suddenly shuts off.
You see, there's some question about my identity. Let me put it to you this way. I'm not sure who I am.
So now that we know that, he doesn't know who he is. He walks into town and hears some bells chiming from a local church. Looks around and notices not only does he not know who he is, he's not sure where everybody else is in this town. After investigating the town, he sees a woman in the passenger seat of a car. He yells over to her, very happy to see somebody else besides him in this town, walks over to now just realize that it's just a mannequin. Opens the door, mannequin falls out, and boom. Seems like he's shocked. Not sure how he didn't know that was a mannequin before that. But in this situation, why not sit down and talk to the mannequin a bit? I guess there's nobody else to talk to, so talk to the mannequin. After saying goodbye to his mannequin friend, he hears a phone ringing in the town circle. Now he goes in the payphone booth, tries to call the operator, doesn't work.
Who's watching any of the stores?
No one's watching any of the stores, and no one's with him. So not only does he not know who he is, he definitely doesn't know where everybody else is. So he figures he's got to get out of there as soon as possible. And of course, he gets stuck for a moment in the payphone booth. Yes, Rod Serling actually happened to him. More on that later. He then stumbles into a police station and does something that I believe I would do. I think Doc Wagner would do the same. And it's this.
Calling all cars, calling all cars. Unknown man walking around police station. Suspicious looking character. Probably wanted for the
Sees a smoking cigar. Now this is all getting weird because it seems like people are just there. So he goes back into the cells, hears running water, sees some wet shaving cream still, and thinks this for the first time.
Time to wake up now. Time to wake up now.
Dreaming or not, the cell is closing, so get out, get out, get out. Okay, he gets out. All right, so now perturbed, he walks into an ice cream parlor. Why not? I guess it's called a soda shop back then, but talks to himself in the mirror for a little bit. Confused, obviously, doesn't know what's going on. He's going to help himself to some ice cream. People didn't like this scene, actually, because they didn't like him talking to himself this much, which I don't understand. Goes into the bookstore and sees the only book there is The Last Man on Earth. How ironic. Goes outside, sits around, contemplates life. Lights start flashing on, and his attention is drawn to a marquee that says The Battle Hymn. Walks over, sees a poster, and sees a man in the same outfit as him. So I guess he realizes this.
Air Force.
Air Force.
He knows he's Air Force, goes into the movie theater, watches a plane fly overhead on the big screen, thinks who's running the projector, doesn't know, runs downstairs, and then this. The iconic sound of the Twilight Zone, the breaking glass. Lays on the floor, looks up, and of course sees the eye watching him, which I guess represents the men that are actually watching him, we find out, while he's on the TV screen in isolation. They're military, and I'll let them explain it.
This a success, sir? Very much so. The man was confined alone in a box for something in the neighborhood of 484 hours. That's roughly equivalent to a trip to the moon, several orbits, and return.
And this was a simulated trip to the moon, is that right, General?
And yes, we get one of the most iconic landing lines ever.
Hey, don't go away up there. Next time it won't be a dream or a nightmare. Next time it'll be for real. So don't go away. We'll be up there in a little while.
That's right. 10 years before the actual moon landing. Leave it to the Twilight Zone. And that was the first episode. Hope you enjoyed. Well, there it was. The pilot episode. And there you are, Doc Wagner. There you are, the expert on the Twilight Zone. So get ready, everybody. The doctor is in. The doctor is in. What's up, Doc? Are you ready to talk about this first episode?
I love this first episode so much, and you did an excellent recap, Buck. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. Listen, I'm more anxious to hear what you have to say about it because I know you know a lot of stuff. So let's get right into it.
Let us delve into the realm of these performers, exploring their talents and unraveling their intricacies on this stage of shadows and light.
Tell me about the actors in there and everything, because I know they're fantastic because they're Twilight Zone actors.
In a strange twist of fate, we'll call it Twilight Zone-esque, the date that we're recording, the lead actor, Earl Holliman, he passed away. He won a Golden Globe for The Rainmaker.
Star Discovery Earl Holliman as Lizzie's impulsive teenage brother.
Who says we're inviting you over for Lizzie? You take that back.
Don't take nothing back, Jim.
Then take something else.
He was in Police Woman. He actually beat out Elvis for the role in The Rainmaker, believe it or not. But I have to read something that just came off the press, and it's actually Rod Serling's letter to him. It says, "Your performance was outstanding, full of dimension, shading, and a fantastic believability. In short, Holliman, you're one hell of an actor."
Wow.
That's well, God bless. And
Rod Serling giving that credit, you beating out Elvis, 96 years old too. Let's just talk about that because I mean we're talking about the 1959 here. 96 years old. Wow, what a great life. Rest in peace.
Animal activist. He from all accounts he was a pretty solid guy.
So now we know about him because you've said pretty much everything.
Yeah. And do you probably recognize who played the general? And that was James Gregory. A couple episodes of you probably know him from MASH. He was Iron Guts Kelly. I know you're a big fan of that.
The man, well, that's what it's all about. That's what the general believes. I believe.
Yeah.
He was in Columbo, episode of Columbo.
That's what they tell me.
2 or 3 episodes of Hitchcock Presents. He was even in Beneath the Planet of the Apes. But yeah, great character actor. And that's what's great about the Twilight Zone. So many character actors.
He is right up there in Doc Wagner's alley there with Columbo, Hitchcock Presents. Come on now. This one.
Of course.
Fantastic. So he played the general. Not many people in this episode, really. No. And we just touched on them. Fantastic actors, obviously, have done a lot besides that. But I think a fun thing we can do, and we're going to do this on every episode, Doc, is let's talk about if we film this now. Who is playing these characters? I know there's only 2 in this one. Let's just play make believe real quick. Not who Hollywood would put in, because we know that would be different. Who would we put in?
Ready with the shot, Mr. DeMille.
All right.
And you can't name me, okay? You're not allowed to name me. I'm out. Okay.
Well,
Doc, who do you think?
I have you for the devil in next episode. Actually, there. Buddy.
Well, that would make total.
I love it. I love this, and this is going to be fun for all episodes. I have James McAvoy as playing the astronaut. You might know him from such movies as Split.
This is so cool. They're gonna believe we exist now, right? They're gonna have to. So what do we do now?
He could play a little bit of anything and everything, and I think just that isolation, and he could carry the episode. And here's a oldie but a goodie for the general is David Morse, saying elsewhere he was in the Green Mile.
Dear Jesus, the tail. Look at the tail.
Just kind of a presence.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that like he's almost typecast as that part. So I mean, that's kind of
it's a given
play call, Doc. I think that's a safe play call. I mean, it's a good call, but I feel like Hollywood's beat you to it. They would put Hollywood actually put him. I think you're right on both of them. I'm gonna go with Sam Rockwell. I'm gonna use him a lot because I think Sam Rockwell's great, and really because of Moon.
You tell me who that is.
Sam Bell. We need to get him to the infirmary immediately.
Right? I mean, when you can carry
absolutely.
a movie by yourself, you know, and that's really what this was. So I'm gonna go with Sam Rockwell, and oh geez, I think I forgot who I was gonna say for my next one there. Kelsey Grammer. How about that? I went with the Grammer hammer on this one. How about that? I've been watching Cheers lately, I think, and that's why. I don't know why. He just seems like, you know,
he could pull it off.
Well, did he play Pat in one thing? Yeah, I see Kelsey Grammer. That's what I'm going with.
Go in there for an afternoon. Do a couple lines in and out. I can see that, but I know Sam Rockwell is going to be your Burgess Meredith.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And when you say that, for everybody out there, any Twilight Zone fans know what he's saying. But if you don't, it's because Burgess Meredith is just plays in how many are there, Doc?
I believe 4.
Yeah. I mean,
Always
strange, great actor, and you're right. He will be my Burgess Meredith.
That's great.
Sam Rockwell will show up.
I've got him in my pocket for a future episode. Believe me.
Absolutely. So now let's go on to locations. So there's some fun things about these locations, Doc. I recognize them myself, but I know you have some information on them.
I think even people who've never seen the Twilight Zone recognize where this was filmed. And fun fact, this was the only episode filmed at Universal Studios, and that was the famous Universal Courthouse Square where Mike Ferris is walking around, didn't know where he was. You've seen Back to the Future. You've probably seen To Kill a Mockingbird. Gremlins was filmed there as well. And actually a recent movie called Maxine, but it's Universal Studios. Incredible Hulk. I know.
Yeah, it's an episode of Incredible Hulk. Yeah.
I know you know that. But yeah, only episode filmed actually at Universal, and they use that excellently.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that was interesting because you really see the courthouse and everything like that, or whatever it was. Now we're going to go to fun facts. Doc, there's a lot of fun facts in every one of these episodes. So fill me in. What do we got here?
Well, you trimmed me down. I had about 10, but you did a great tease. You did a great tease, Buck, when Mike Ferris got trapped into that telephone booth. It actually did happen to Rod Serling, and that's how he got the idea for this episode. And then he had a thought. It was actually in the back lot of a movie studio, and there was nothing going on, and he had this epiphany. What would happen? There's all this evidence of a community, but nobody was living there. Just for getting stuck in a telephone booth.
Now it makes sense not to go like too crazy with it, but when you think about it, now everybody think about it, and not everybody's been to a movie lot before, but they can imagine it. They probably walk through something of Hollywood studios or something like that. That kind of shows what it is. Picture nobody there. and picture being in a telephone booth and you look around and there's these buildings that look like they're working buildings and you're yelling probably and no one's there because it looks like a city, but it's not a city. It's
It's
not a
all fake. It's all fake.
So I can see him coming up with that. Oddly enough, it's kind of
Well, I mean, you more so than me. Obviously, with your acting background, you've seen it firsthand.
yeah. Yeah, it is weird. It's like a lonely place when you go. It's like a ghost town, but not ghost towns to me look, falling down.
Right.
These towns
But
look
this
like
is all new and shiny.
Yeah, you walk through and it's like really quiet. It's like it's really creepy. But yeah, that's interesting. That is
Here,
interesting.
I got something else for you that is pretty wild. It's back. I mean, this is the late 50s and moon space. It was the thing. It was everybody was talking about it. This was aired on October 2nd, 1959. Uh, fun. This is Twilight Zone, most Twilight Zone fact of the entire Twilight Zone. I think there was a solar eclipse that same date.
Wow. So the original date that it aired, correct? Not when it was
Correct.
filmed.
Yes.
It aired. Wow, that is weird. And I did touch on the fact of being 10 years before. And listen, I know we were trying to go to the moon. We knew that was going to happen probably sooner than later, but it is kind of weird that it was 10 years before.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So the episode was filmed on, I'm sorry, was aired on October 2nd. On October 7th, the Luna 3 sent back the first ever pictures of the far side of the moon. So the moon, and I know you make fun of me. I'm not quite, I don't quite remember that live,
Yeah.
but the moon and space travel, we can't comprehend how cool it was back then.
Yeah, it was really it was the Twilight Zone really ahead of its time, really, I guess. I mean, yeah, right. I can't picture what was going on there back then, but man, this must have blown their mind because that's the thing. And really, before you get into the rest of the fun facts, just I want everybody to think about it. And please leave some comments below about what actor you think would be good in it and everything like that, and any fun facts you might know about it. So make sure you do that. But think about being there, and maybe there's somebody out there that remembers watching this the first time. We can't wrap our heads around it. You can't tell a kid right now that they'd be like, big deal. Like I can watch that on my phone and it's not even CGI'd and everything. At that time, with what they were watching, and then this, I wonder how they really took it. I wonder because this episode, if you don't understand what the Twilight Zone becomes, is this just a boring, weird episode? To somebody who watches westerns all the time.
Well, and you let off with it perfectly, Buck, by saying that the Danny Thomas show, Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel. It was what people were used to. They were used to very
Father-driven sitcoms, yeah, and
no character driven on network television, and this, what the heck is this?
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder if it was like really like taken in, because I could see if you watch everything else, watching that first episode and just being like, huh,
right? Like, okay.
Yeah, I would probably have to watch like 3 or 4 before I even got what was going on.
And the concept, of course, there was a few anthologies before this, but the idea of an anthology at the time was almost foreign.
Yeah,
they want okay, what's Beaver doing today? What's Beaver doing tomorrow? What are the guys in Gunsmoke? Who are they shooting up? It's very predictable. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, and I mean, now you have to write like basically what they call, I think it's like a Bible, what they call, you need like a 4-season arc or 2-season arc and what you're doing and this and that. Twilight Zone didn't have that because it wasn't a serial. It didn't, it wasn't a continuation. Right. It was just a story. And this was, I'm sure there was something else maybe out there before Hitchcock kind of did it, but this wasn't a big, a normal thing for primetime.
No, different actors. That's another thing. People are used to routines. They're used to seeing Danny Thomas. They're used to seeing Red Skelton every week. Like people get attached, and they obviously did not have that except for Burgess Meredith and a few of the other guys and gals that Rob put in. But you don't have that person that you can attach to.
Yeah, it's almost like how Law and Order did that in the 90s, in a sense of you could just watch any episode and it wouldn't matter. Even though the characters had a little bit
And
of
just jump
same
in.
characters, but you could just jump in at any time.
Mhm.
Feld kind of did that a little bit, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned Hitchcock, and I mean, I'm sure we'll be getting into some Hitchcock stuff at some point. But
oh yes, we will. You just wait, everybody. That's gonna be a good time. All right. So, any more fun facts before we move on?
let's go. This episode in particular, and all of the episodes reek of symbolism, and I know you're big into that. So let's talk about that.
Symbolism is just too delicious.
First of all, I think it's funny because you look at the beginning of the Twilight Zones, like after this one, the opening credits basically of the Twilight Zone, the theme of the Twilight Zone. A lot of the things in this were there. Said the broken glass. I'm almost positive. I haven't checked yet. I think that's the same exact sound of broken glass. The eye that's there.
The eye that's there.
The clocks, big on clocks. The symbolism there really is, time, obviously. And you have this man who's trapped in time that's almost frozen, right? And that's why things were breaking.
Right.
And obviously the eye, obviously everybody's watching him, and he felt like that. Yes, being alone. I feel like when you're alone and isolated, you almost feel like more eyes are around you than when you're in a crowd, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Psychologically. So I would say it's really about that. It's about being alone and the fear of being alone. Like, how fun would that be to be alone? People like, oh, I could go run around, but you have nobody to share it with. You have nothing. How many people have said, I want to go out in the middle of the woods and go off grid? That's fine. I get it in a sense. But by yourself, you're a special breed of Ted Kaczynski for that.
That's exactly right.
For that. So, yeah. So the symbolism is really like isolation, right? I mean, what do you think?
No doubt. No doubt. It's isolation, and it's not only this episode, but it's a theme throughout the entire series. In fact, the Jack Warden stars in a great episode called The Lonely, which is in season 1, where an astronaut gets, or I'm sorry, he was actually a convict, got sent to another planet with like a robot, and that's it. And the loneliness, I took it into a little bit as far as if I'm looking at watching this the first time, I'm thinking that Mike Ferris is dreaming, because it's just, and I'm not sure if Rod Serling did this. This is just me. This is just Doc saying, but dreams are often interpreted differently by what you're looking at. So he's in the telephone book. He's in the telephone booth. The phone rings. He picks up. He can't hear anybody. He's looking through the telephone book. He's expecting to see names that he knows. Johnson, Jones. He can't even pronounce anything. And that's, you're in the dream. You kind of know what's going on, but wait a second. Now I can't read. The other thing I was thinking is it's the mirror at the cafe. He runs into it. That's enough. We can. But I actually do like how at the end, where as the writer, Serling literally spoon feeds the audience what happened, because as we discussed, I don't think that the audience knew what the hell was going on. And as the general and then the doctor literally spoon feeds, he's spoon feeding everybody, but he's spoon feeding the audience.
Yeah, it is true, and it's a funny thing when you write, and it always people make fun of writers. I don't make fun. I won't say so they make fun of them, but like a rookie writer or somebody who's not a good writer is they basically and a quick thing to do if this is interesting to anybody, but they'll write a scene and they'll be like the husband and wife, and the husband comes home and the wife says to him, you know, how was your day at the factory working with Sam? And that's when you know that they don't know because you show that you let people figure it out. Obviously you don't have to tell it, but you're right. Serling had to tell it at the end because they really could have just left it like the government looking at them. Now
Right.
nowadays we would get it. We would get it, right? And like maybe show him looking up at the moon and even have that last line. We would get it, right? He wouldn't have to do it, but you're absolutely right. And I would never say Serling can't write, but he
No,
had to do it for that time period.
exactly. It was a knock on the viewers, or not
Yes.
knock. It was they're used
Well,
to
they
it.
just weren't
Again.
used to it.
They're
Yeah,
used to Beaver and
in
Danny
your
Thomas.
face, this is what it is. And also, like, it was probably so outrageous at the time that people didn't even think of that. Now all we do is think of, the blue pill or the red pill or whatever it is, right? Swallowing it. We're in the matrix or whatever we are. So we're always thinking of, stuff like that. But yeah. So that is interesting that they did do that. And I like your dream philosophy on it because it is true. And it's funny when you think about your dreams. And yeah, it's like when your best friend is walking around with you, but it's not your best friend. It's actually, Brad Pitt. But he's your best friend. You don't know what's going on. And that's kind of like this guy, I think, was looking around like that at
Yeah.
a point. So Rod Serling took things to sum it all up, and I think you hit on it, but to sum it up easier is Rod Serling took things and he took things from the corners of our minds, the dark corners of our minds, the simple corners of our minds,
Right.
and elaborated on it. And I think this is the first one where it's a very simple thing to be alone. It's a fear that every human being has. I don't care who they are. Some are more extreme than the others. But once again, leave in the comments below what you think this was about and your feelings about it as well. So we got the symbolism down. What do we have next?
Well, I have one fun kind of a interesting talking point. We, if you're filming this episode in 2024 or 2025, have 2.5 weeks without technology, and see, it's not even be alone, but about 2.5 weeks without technology for the kids out there.
We'll take away social media.
Right.
They'll lose their minds.
Yeah.
I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people, I shouldn't say they,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would. Exactly. So imagine them going into forget about it. Like, oh, I'm going to take a picture of my selfie of myself. Who am I sharing it with? No one.
Right.
No one's there.
Right.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I think this episode in particular had so many so many filmmakers, writers, story ideas had jumped on this, so many influences.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Moon being an influence maybe of this. I mean, and listen, I mean, it's all those ones where somebody goes up to Mars by themselves, all the
Right.
ships that go up there and they wake up and they're alone on the ships, and I mean, obviously, and this was a common theme, but boy, he really simplistically hit it pretty well here, and he had great acting in it, and for everybody out there, I mean, I think they know it's really hard to act with nobody talking back to you. That's very hard.
That it's so, and we're gonna hammer it home through every episode. Character driven. You have to be a hell of an actor or actress to pull what Earl Holliman did in this episode.
Yeah, really weirdly underrated. Most people would just be like, what do you have? Like, how long was it to learn this script? He had like 7 lines. Yeah, but his reactions and everything. Speaking of that, before we go, what we have a couple more things, but what would you say? What is your favorite scene in there?
He compiled all the best boner scenes, I guess.
Wow, that's a great question. I think the ending. I mean, it's just so filled with hope, and I'm looking at it again as a snot-nosed kid in 1959. There's just so much hope, and I'm thinking that, wow, like that's what I just watched. It's such a great episode, but when you pull it all together, the ending is just is what makes it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, no one's gonna ever argue with you with that one. I mean, I think you took the easy route there, Tom. I mean, come on. I mean, come on there, Doc. You can't do that. But anyway, no, but I agree. And I mean, the ending really, I mean, especially being 10, looking back at that ending, you're just like, wow, and you just smile at the end, and he's not like defeated. He's actually
it's a rare feel-good episode. That's why I really liked it. It's a rare feel-good episode of the Twilight.
I really like I really like when he actually talks to the mannequin. Because I mean, I don't know if it's ironic that it's like he's like manic at that point, right? He's sitting down, he's coming to this realization, he's about to lose it. That's really because the phone's about to ring.
Yeah.
He's got that weird, I mean, as an actor wise, like him doing that, smiling, looking at the mannequin and being like, that's where I think he accepted he might be dreaming, even though he mentioned this might be a dream in the jail cell, right?
Right.
But I think this is a point where he was like, all right, well, there's some sort of joke going on. And he was cracking a little bit. I think that was his cracking moment.
Right. Like, why not? Let's talk to the mannequin.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that scene, besides the fact of, like I said, you know, him not noticing it was a mannequin. That would be really tough. But he wanted to see what he wanted to see.
Maybe his eyes weren't that good in the.
Well, yeah. So now, Doc, we've seen all these episodes. Obviously, you've probably seen more of them times than me, maybe. But let's rate this one. I mean, so we're gonna go 1 through 10 on here of our Twilight Zone smashes. I think I'm gonna call them. I
love it.
Well, who are you to judge me?
1 through 10. What would you rate this on a scale of Twilight Zone? What would you rate this one?
Right me personally, I'm giving it at 8.5. Is it a perfect episode? No, but I think it's damn near close.
Mm-hmm.
It's damn near close. The acting, we spoke about everything, and it's just it has exactly what's needed.
All right. No, I think, and I'm right around the same area. I was gonna say 8 for me. And really it's because if you stuck this, and this is a great episode, it is, but you gotta really think this is the pilot episode. So there's a safety kind of thing going on a little bit. It's got to introduce it. It's not going to be as whatever. Because if you put this episode in the middle of the Twilight Zone, say season 2, right? In the middle,
it's a 6, maybe.
Exactly. But for the time, for what it was, for how they did it. And, you know, honestly, if it was in the middle, it would probably be much better. They would have made it better.
Right.
It wasn't this, I'm not even saying it was a safe play, but I think it was a play to be like, this is our pilot. This is our vanilla, easing them into something that's a tad supernatural, but not, you know, so to me, it set the groundwork and how amazing the acting was and being whatever. But yeah, like I said, the middle of it, all in all, a 6, which is solid, but it wouldn't have been the same if it was in the middle of it. It would have been different. Something else would have been there. It might not even been made. So I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going 8, and that's going to be very strong for me. I'm going to, compared to Twilight Zones, I'm going off of Twilight Zones, not other shows at the time.
Right. Well, I mean, listen, there's a few clunkers, of course, but it's when you're going up against some of the other ones. Yeah, I think we're both very generous. I've read books. I've seen other YouTubers give this particular episode a very low score, and I'm not one of them.
No, I think there's so much more to it than just rating it after you watch them all. I think you really have to take other things into effect. And I mean, I get it both ways, but personally, me being the first thing you watch, and this was the one, because it should be safe. It should be an introduction thing. And it wasn't that safe, but it was an introduction, and it was actually downright ballsy when you think about it, you know?
Yeah. It was.
You
It
know,
was. And wow, we're gonna have some fun with this.
we are. So, Doc, that was fun. Episode 1 is down now, just episode 2. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Little teaser for episode 2. That's a salesman one, right? I gotta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. We'll talk about this later. This is one of my. I really like this one.
Yeah.
And Doc differ on this a little bit, but we're gonna go at that one.
Hey.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna break it down. All right, for us here at the Triple Clowns Network. We'll see you later, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Give me the ball, Augie. Give me the ball. Bad dog.